All right, folks. So I'm a self-taught artist. Probably been painting now, I would say professionally within the last 2 years, but prior to that, just teaching myself, I would say a collective of about 10 years. So I'm self-taught, went from school doodling, and then really just started to make it an effort and just to try to take it to where I felt or somebody believed in me that I could, become an artist full-time, and paint for a living. One of my biggest ways I learned was doing live art. Doing live art helps you, doesn't stop, lets people see into your creativity, and it kind of makes you a central part just as much as the art piece is. And it's been around, doing painting live or out in the open has been around since the mid 1900s. The French call it in plein air. Now people call it performance art or live painting or live art. So we've taken it to that whole new school type of situation. But you'll see sometimes people still in parks, orthodox, doing plein air, like doing landscapes and so forth. All of my stuff usually is for some type of an event. Sometimes I pre-plan it. But everything I have, I usually try to carry in this box right here. And this box is, this box has essentially, I want this box to have everything that I need for the event. Because once you start the event, typically you're not gonna have anywhere to go, the restroom or whatever. You're still on a time limit, and yes, you can make yourself take breaks. But I try to bring everything in one little compartment. I call it my art caboodle. And so as I set up, I'm gonna go through the things that I look or try to do, the do's and don'ts of setting up. If you do live art, things of the, if you're doing this, what to always understand your environment and what's going on. So typically, like I said, if you guys wanna come up a little bit, is up to you. I do everything on wood. So I do, when I do size, everything's on wood. That's just how I just paint. Everything is on wood. This is something I did at a live art event. So it's not something typically, it was more of a hip hop-ish type of situation. I use a lot of paper. And so and then I use a lot of blueprints. I love blueprints, schematics. And then he was a photographer, because prior to painting, all I did was photography. So now I take some of my prints and I blow them up, and then I use them as part of a collage type of situation. Always know your time. Always know your time when you're, what the situation is. If it's a corporate event, whatever, it's a wedding, whether it's whatever the situation is, always know your time limit, because at the end of the day, you want that thing to be dry. Nothing worse than, somebody taking a painting and it's wet, and then it gets in their car, and, they might have won it at a raffle, or, sometimes I've done raffles where the painting gets up to, $700, and that's the last thing you want how to happen. So first and foremost, if you don't have an electrical outlet, these are the newest, hottest, greatest things to do it. Typically, if you're doing live art, you might be inside. I just like outside. I've done art shows or live art for like Gasparilla Music Festival, Anise events downtown. I've done for numerous charities. It's just something I just typically enjoy out of everything. Always make sure your environment is, clean, nothing you're gonna leave. So if you're at somebody's property, just know if there's gonna ever be like spillages. Always have an easel of choice. And once you start painting, you know where you're at with stuff. Size is typically, you're gonna understand that. Normally, when I do a live piece, I usually try to have this size, the max, or something for viewingship. Because if you're painting like a little 5x7, everybody's crunched over you like, they're gonna kill you. So you try to give it to where it has space, and that, everybody can view, and then you get more of an audience. But for time's sake, this is just gonna be a really, like an abstract that I'll do while I'm going through everything with you. This thing is the greatest thing ever because it just slides open. I have tape. This is like Mary Poppins' purse. So now, because of that, but I have clamp lights. I'll bring a extension cord. With that extension cord, because sometimes your phone might die, so you'll have your, another charger. So it has a split, or if there's already an outlet that has other stuff, split it with them, so that way you can, you're not dying. I always bring water because you never know where you'll be or like what kind of drinks you'll be able to get yourself. And then I typically use that with, and I bring containers. So then it's just, now you have your water. You didn't have to go search for it. You didn't have to go to anybody, anything like that. This is usually like my charcoal pencils. Aerosol, I use a lot of aerosol because it's faster than glue. So when you're in an event, but also, understand the aerosol value and make sure. That's why I like doing a lot of outside events because it's not gonna really disturb anybody. My choice of brushes, I just get a multi-pack. Normally, if I can just quick throw them away because of one use. If I have aerosol, they're kind of done anyway. You're mixing a lot, so I keep a multi-pack with me. And then normally, if I'm doing outside venue, I carry a headset. I get to listen to my own music. Sometimes you don't get a chance, but I love just creating an environment and doing me, listening to my music. Always have a rag. I always have a bag for like my trash or whatever. So I'm kind of like, at the end of the day, I just wrap everything up, throw it away, and I'm gone. Does anybody have any questions so far? And so you just kind of make your own little studio away from home. Yeah, so sometimes, or I carry trash bags. So I immediately put the project in a trash bag, seal that up. Everything else can kind of get wet. It doesn't matter. So at least that gets sealed up immediately. During the summertime, I'll bring like one of those big hats, or I'll have an umbrella under an umbrella, keep it down. Do it in the summertime, like those outdoor events. It can get very draining. Make sure you have plenty of water. Usually on those I'll bring like a little 6-pack, of big ones just to make sure I'm hydrated. A typical event, you'll have about 3 hours to do a painting. Because it won't really get packed. Most of the events I get, they don't get packed immediately. And when you're doing it live, you want to gauge. You want to see from start to finish.
So when you're doing an event that's taking 3 hours, you say that's a restaurant. So you're in the restaurant creating the piece.
Creating the piece.
They ask you for a certain theme, like
Yeah.
you're doing it for the restaurant, like they want a picture of Tuscan Italy or something. Or
can you repeat the question? Not you.
Oh.
So her question is, when you do these events, is it a themed event or do they just let you plan it out? Typically on a big corporate, they're gonna want some type of idea. Or if they know that you're doing something, they see if they can incorporate their company. Like Maker's Mark, I've gone back and forth with Maker's Mark here, just the whiskey, to see if they have an event to paint live and incorporate either that wax or something to incorporate, so that way, because at the end of the day, they get that piece, or they'll auction that piece off for charity or something to that effect.
They pay you for your time in making the art, but they keep the piece.
It depends on how you want to do that. I myself give 100% time up. Sometimes they'll say, no, we want you to at least get your materials. Can we pay for your materials? Personally, when I do like charity events, I donate my time. Or I'll donate my time in the piece or whatever it is for exposure. So the 29th, I'll be doing a corporate event at the Armature Works. And so I just told them I would do it for free. Armature Works is a big thing on your portfolio, the people in the environment. So you understand what the value is at that time. But there are some charities that will have, they'll pay for your 25 bucks, 30 bucks for your materials. But it's all how you want to work. And as you start, I mean, I usually will do a lot of free stuff. Get your name out there. Charities, there's somebody in there that may need something for their house or something, and then they get you have information, like I have my cards, I always pass out a card. On my postcards, I always make sure, I have a piece of my art, so that way they already see that.
Okay.
And it's very mailable. You can slap a stamp on that, and it can go to your client list. If you get a new piece, all your old clients, you can send them as a marketing. But I usually have those visible. If there's somebody really, really interested in while I'm working, I'll go up there and just kind of socialize. What do you think? And they're like, oh my God, I liked it 20 minutes ago. What are you doing now? Because they get into that. And they see something that you're totally not seeing, and so what? That was a perfect eye. We're like, to you it's not, but again, I do a lot of paper, so I'm just gonna do like a real quick one. So on wood, I'll do the wood. And so these are rough. A lot of I was told the other day that I need to clean up my canvas making. But I learned how to be a little resourceful with doing my canvases. So if it's a little rough right here, I'll just take the paper and make sure the paper goes over it. So now it's part of the painting. You can't see it. Sometimes gloves too. I have a pair of gloves. I was always told, always do the size of your paintings, because that's a sign of a good artist. They paid attention to everything. They're now making aerosol that are water-based, so it's not as potent. But again, if I'm inside, I use acrylics, and I'll water them down, or I'll do more of like a watercolor to thin it out so it dries faster. So that's, like I said, it all depends on the environment. And I'm just a mixed media type of guy, so I'm all over the place.
Do you prepare your paper before you get out there?
Not necessarily do I prepare. Sometimes I will, not the paper per se, but planning out a certain theme. And that also, like I said, either they ask you corporate-wise, or the environment that you're going to be in. So that way you can just plan ahead and know that you're not going to throw a double-headed scorpion and it's a wedding. Unless they're into it, yeah. But these abstracts are something that I just know how to do off the top of my head. I do them. These are like my little money makers that are consistent. The 175, 200, small, depending on the size. I can crank them out. Most of my stuff is like large format. I do all originals. I really don't print yet. I don't G-clay. And I'm really weird about my blueprints. It has to show like a lot, like the information that it shows is important to me as far as, you know, how it's gonna go on there. These are actually going away, so this is becoming like, because everything now is on CAD system, which is all digital. So this whole blueprint thing is slowly but surely dying. And you know, I've done stuff for people who maritime, like my port one. I took the maritime maps of the port, blew them up on huge sections of paper, and then I painted and that's where my postcard is. And then I painted the merchant slash pirate ships, you know, nautical theme. And that took 3 months to go over that with the port.
A lot bigger.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, 6 by 12.
Yeah, sometimes when you do corporate things like that, you're looking at a lot of liability, so they're very extra cautious of how you present, you know, images or paintings for them. So the boats couldn't have like a certain mass or there's colors that'd be right. 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 Yeah, people honestly, anything with maps for like aviation. I've done things for aviation people, collaging it and stuff like that. I mean, they dig it because it's more personal. Right now, I do for realtors. Instead of the realtor buying like a bottle of wine for the house they sell, they give me the blueprints of that actual house, and then I'll do artwork to it. I put their name on it somewhere, you know, any significant stuff I try to tie into it. And so now they also have an art piece, and it's a little more different and unique than just, here's a bottle of wine, thank you very much, call me next time. I'll probably have to finish this, but I just want to kind of give you guys like a situation of typically, you know, how I'll work, and just to let you know what it's involved in doing one of those things. I would say if you're trying to market yourself to do what you feel you comfortably doing, like I said, right now Christmas holiday parties are going to be super big, so you know, I normally charge if I do one. I will either get a set rate depending on the situation, or I'll charge what depending on demand, at least around $50 an hour. So at least I'm making $200 for at least a session, and so.
In a holiday party, does the host ask you they want a Christmas theme or whatever they want?
Again, yeah, you can work with them and say, do you have a theme? How would you like? You know, is there something that you would want me to push towards, maybe a certain size that you're looking for. And this is where you might have to educate them, because now you, as a person who's doing these shows or doing these events, you start understanding, you know, your environment, how long you can, you know, what size. You know, typically, like this is the size. This took me actually an hour and a half, because it's mostly all paper, right? But I had to drag it out for the whole session, so that way it made the people stay in tune with me. Oh, what's the next step? So even though it's a lot of paper, I went in there, started sanding, just started doing, and this is actually taped off, and then just me doing stencils over it. Then I just laid my man over that. So really, it was a 30-minute painting, but I had it like, you know, with doing the frame and all that, and you know, on the back end, it ends up being an hour and a half. But like really, if I just go ahead and off of this, 30 minutes. But now you're just done, and now it's like you lost their attention. Correct. So you just want to slowly build it, but you know what the outcome is for that, and how to time yourself so that way, again, it dries. Usually they'll try to, most of them that I've done, they've done it as an auction. The longest table, St. Pete, they did it as an auction. So people, it was kind of like an entertainment for them. They were watching it from all where they were eating dinner. They would come up, see where you're at, and usually take another piece of artwork with you. You know, some other stuff or information. Yeah, you know, just some other stuff that you might have that's small and portable. Sometimes my live arts get a little big. I have like 2 posts and 3 or 4 of them hanging. But I always take a couple of other pieces, because the art you may be doing may be directed for that corporate event. But now you're giving a little piece or something that somebody may see, oh, do you have any other work? Now they see how flexible you are, or how, you know, how talented you are. Yeah, it might be corporate, it might be, you know, so they're not really getting a sense of who you are as an artist. You know, and that's where I'm saying, if you can't bring any physical pieces, just have multiple postcards with multiple prints on it. So that's where you can, you know, kind of sell yourself off of, you know, doing that. And especially if you're doing it for charity, you know, really put yourself out there. You know, just say, hey, look, and, you know, try to, you know, do that networking there, because it will lead to another job. So, but anyways, thanks for coming. I appreciate it.